Welcome back, folks, to Fishing Planet for the Nile Perch Money and Leveling Guide. Currently, as of right now, it is the fastest way to make money in XP, but we have new lakes on the way. That being said, this is going to be a little bit similar to the guide I put out when the lake came out. I just know more and have a little bit more tips for you guys as I've done these, tested these quite a bit recently. Starting with the gear, the most important thing is using a rig. Texas, Carolina, whatever you prefer, it doesn't matter as long as you are using a rig setup because they, for the last 2 years or so since they've been out, they stretch, making the fights much easier on these things. And when you use a Texas rig or a Carolina rig, you need to have a offset hook and a bullet sinker on them. I use a 14-0 offset hook. You can use whatever the biggest is available to you if you are lower level. And I use a glow-in-the-dark shad. The 6-inch or I believe 15 centimeter for our metric friends. Now, keep in mind, if you don't have this, that's fine. Just use whatever you can and that same level. So littler shads will work. Smaller hooks all the way down to 6.0, an 8.0 will work. Just keep in mind, you'll get catfish a little bit on them. Whereas when you get to the bigger hooks, for example, I spent an entire week at the Congo farming just the other last week. I only caught 12 catfish the entire week. 4 of them were uniques. So the bigger hook size you have, the much better rates that you will have for Nile perch. Now, quickly, I will show you how I do retrieve these with the shad and the hook. And also rib shads work as well. I figured I'd mention that. And I just do stop and go right above the bottom. If you want, you can do twitch too. And what you do is just want to barely keep it off the bottom. And you're going to get misses if you're using a big hook. Don't worry, that's catfish or a little Nile perch. One thing to make sure too is make sure that when you're in your boat, you are unanchored. And if you are using a smaller hook and catching catfish, that is not a big deal. Catching some catfish, that is not the end of the world. They are worth pretty good money and XP. Not quite as good as the Nile perch or the tigerfish, but they do help. So that is a big bonus. I fish at night, and I will show you guys the peaks that I like. Now, for the night one peak, if you want, you can skip that. And what I do is I will fish till I catch a unique, and then I will go ahead and skip to the next night. You can use the glow shad during the day. The only difference is you have to use a bait coin to advance. And I would rather not drive around all over the lake filling up a bag when I can just catch a trophy unique and advance. It only costs $2,000 and saves you a lot of time while doing it. So the 2 peaks I really like are this night 3 peak, I go to 9 p.m., and the night 4 peak, I go to 3 a.m. This peak, however, this middle peak like this, I am not myself a big fan. To each their own. They can catch them whenever they want. If it works for you, go ahead and use it. And for the spots that I use, after a bunch of testing, the spots I like the most is the top spot right up here. This is the boat marker. If you want the coordinates, just go ahead, pause the video, and enter them in on your map. You can see we're at the top of the map here. That spot was slightly the best spot. And this spot right here was the second spot, which I want to give credit to Party Razor, one of the channel members. I was fishing with him, and I normally fish over here, but sometimes I get catfish, and as soon as I moved over here, the catfish were super rare. And also, I did catch a very nice 450 pounder there as well. The reason I don't use some other spots, guys, and I did test a lot of spots, is over here. There's one. There's a bunch everywhere, guys. There's like some down here, in this deep water right here, and there's some down here. Obviously, the waterfall people use. I do not use the waterfall when I'm down here too much when I'm trying to power level or money. It's a good spot, but you spend a lot of time fighting fish on that barrier. And the other spots for me, the bite rates were slightly down when I tested them for long periods versus these two here. Also, one thing to note too, guys, the durability, I would keep an eye on it, on equipment and stuff. The pole with if you're using a Texas rig will not wear out very quickly. In fact, this pole in this setup here was a whole day that I caught, I believe, 87 uniques on, unique Nile Perch, and made like $8 or $9 million with this just on one day without repairing it. So they last a very long time. And as well, too, the one thing in here you want to check your durability is your keep net. That is a big one. You want to make sure you have spare durability so they don't break. Same with your vest as well and other equipment. One thing I would definitely like to add on these now perch in particular is the more you practice this, or if you know fish it for money, the better you will get. For example, only probably a month or two ago, I was only getting about 700,000 per hour. And that, and that's with having done them before. So if you struggle a little bit at the beginning, no worries. They can be a little streaky. With that being said, though, last week I was here all week. Now I wasn't fishing every waking moment, but I did fish a lot. As you can see, I first on the leaderboard, almost 3 times the next person on the leaderboard, and I made 30 million XP and over $50 million in 1 week. And I will tell you that you get, even on that week where I felt pretty good, I got better as I went, including on the last day, I had a day or 1 hour total of $1.5 million that I caught in 1 hour. Now, I would say my average was probably just slightly under $1 million an hour, but I'm just using that as an example for you guys. So when you first start, you will definitely get better as you go while doing this, guys. Anyway, hopefully this helps you out, and I'll see you next time, folks. Have a good one.